am having a little trouble with my phone. Okay. Okay, we're just gonna get started and hope for the best. So, are you learning crochet or trying to learn crochet and wish you had an instruction manual? Learning crochet is a lot like building a house in the sense that you have to have the right materials, you have to have the right steps, and you need to have them in the right order. And if you're struggling, you're likely missing one of these elements. So, hi there, I'm Laisha from With Love Laisha. Welcome to today's live. I hope that the orientation on this is correct. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties, so let me know if you're on live, if you can see me okay. So today I'm going to share with you a blueprint for learning crochet so that you have all these elements lined up. You have the right materials, you have the right steps, you're doing them in the right order so that you can quickly and confidently crochet all those gifts you want to make and create beautiful pieces for your friends and family to show off. So are you ready? Let's get started, right? The very first thing that you're going to need are the right materials. So anytime you're getting started building something, you got to make sure you've got your materials right. And in crochet, you're going to need yarn. As a beginner, you need two kinds of yarn are going to be really good for you. So the first type is a chunky yarn, and I have examples here to show you. So this is a chunky yarn, and it's nice and thick. It's going to be easy for you to hold. It's going to be easy for you to see your stitches as you're learning to identify them and see what they look like. And it's going to help you work up your projects and whatever piece you're working on a lot quicker than using something that's really thin like this. This is going to make your stitches really difficult to see, and it's going to be really fidgety as you're trying to build that muscle memory. The second kind of yarn that you want to use is a level 4 medium weight yarn. And you can find the weight or the thickness level on the back of the yarn package. So I have mine listed right here. And the level 4 weight yarn is going to be really good for you because, again, it's going to be easier for you to hold and it's going to make your stitches a lot easier to see. But also, a lot of beginner projects use a level 4 yarn. And so it opens up an opportunity for you to crochet a lot of things without having to buy a lot of different yarns. And I know when you're just starting out, you don't really want to spend a lot of money on your materials when you're not really sure whether you're, even going to want to really do this hobby or craft for a while. So you're going to go for a chunky yarn and you're going to go for a medium weight yarn. Now, when you're first learning how to just crochet stitches, you're learning how to hold your yarn, you're learning how to get your yarn on your hook, that's when you want to use the chunky yarn. And project ideas for this are beanies, scarves, purses, clutches, pouches, baskets. So you do have a variety of projects you can move into once you've learned your stitches. And then when you're more comfortable, I would move to a level 4 medium weight. And then that will allow you to do things like pot holders, coasters, keychains, bookmarks, washcloths. So really simple, quick, beginner-friendly projects. The next thing you're going to need is a crochet hook. And just like with a yarn, you want your yarn to be bigger and thicker. You want your crochet hook to also be bigger and thicker. So I'm going to show you an example right here. This is a hook that will go with a chunky yarn. This is a hook that's going to go with a thinner yarn. This is going to be a lot easier for you to work with and for you to hold when you're just starting out than something like this. And this is also going to make your stitches, again, a lot easier to see. So when you're going with a chunky yarn, how do you know what hook to grab? You're going to look at the back of your package. So this package right here, it says that I'm going to go for a size H hook, which is a 5mm hook, if I'm not mistaken. And that's going to tell you what hook is recommended to use with that yarn. So now let's say you have a hook that's a size L and your yarn says that you need one that's an M or a K. That's just a recommendation. So it's totally fine to use a hook that's one size bigger or smaller than what your yarn package calls for. And this will make it easier when you're starting to crochet projects and your projects are asking for different hook sizes. If it's a little bit higher, a little bit lower, you can still get away with it, especially with beginner projects. Not so much as you work, down the road and you get higher up in your level of crochet, because then your hook size does matter more. But when you're starting out, it's okay if you kind of, if your hook size is a little smaller or bigger than what the recommended size is. Same with a level 4 yarn. You're going to go with what the yarn package calls for. So this one is actually calling for a size H hook, I believe. Where did it go? Yes. Now, although the yarn itself is calling for a size H hook, there's a pattern that they're giving you on this package that calls for a size J hook. So just to prove my point, you can kind of go a little bit higher or a little bit lower. If you only want to get one crochet hook, I would go for a size H. And that's because a lot of medium weight yarns use a size H. So you'll be able to move through a bunch of different yarns without having to invest in another crochet hook. And a lot of beginner projects also call for a size H hook. So it just opens up an opportunity for you without having to spend a ton more money. Now, when you are choosing a hook, I would recommend going with something that has an ergonomic handle on it, which is something like this. It has like a rubber handle and it's easier to hold than something like this, which is a basic metal crochet hook. So just a little tip there, when you're starting out and you're building muscle memory, you want things to be as easy to hold as possible. And so I really love ergonomic hooks for that. The next thing you're going to look for are stitch markers. Stitch markers are these little guys, and they go on your project into the stitches. And the reason that I love these, if you're a beginner, I highly recommend that you get a pack of these, because you can use these to mark off your stitches. So you just pop it into your stitch there, and it will help you count your stitches because you can count the stitch markers. It will also help you find your first and last stitch super easily. So there's going to be a lot of troubleshooting issues that you're going to come up with as you're learning, and stitch markers are going to be your holy grail for this. So you want a pack of these. These are also used to keep your project from unraveling. Like mine is protecting my project from opening up. So that's another great use for them, but I love them for their troubleshooting abilities. The next thing you need is a tapestry needle, or also called a darning needle or yarn needle. That's going to be something like this, and it's just a needle with a large eye on it. And you slide your yarn into this, and it helps you sew in your ends or hide your yarn tails into your project at the end so that you get a nice, clean, neat result. The last thing you need are scissors, and you don't need to invest in these. You don't need to buy any. You can just use a pair of sharp scissors you have laying around in the house. Kitchen scissors are fine. You just want to make sure that they are sharp enough to cut the yarn cleanly and they don't fray the yarn. So now that you've got your materials, actually, before we move on, I want to know from you, how many of you are comfortable with the materials that you have right now? And did my tips help you? Did any of it resonate with you, or kind of, were they eye-opening? Like, oh, okay, that's why I'm struggling. Let me know in the comments. Now, the next thing you need when you're building something, or you're building a house, you're learning your crochet skills, is foundation. So this is what you're going to build all your projects and all your crochet skills on. So for your foundation, the very first thing you need to learn how to do is get your yarn on your hook. And this is done with a slip knot. I have tutorials on my channel. I think I have a playlist called Get Started or Start Here, Getting Started or Start Here, something like that. I'll link it in the description for you. That is going to teach you 3 different ways to get a slip knot on your hook. There are a lot of different ways to do this, and all the different ways resonate with people differently. You know, things that are easy for me may be more difficult for you and vice versa. So I highly recommend watching a few videos on that and learning how to get your yarn on your hook the easiest way possible, the quickest way possible for you. You want to be able to do this in seconds. This is not something that you want to be struggling with. So practice that, get that down. The next thing you need to know, of course, is how to hold your yarn and your hook, right? So again, this is something you want to practice. You want to be able to get your yarn around your hand and hold it in a matter of seconds. You shouldn't be stressing or worrying about this. I'm going to show you really quickly what I mean. So if I'm going to get started crocheting, I've got my hook. Okay, I've got my yarn. I'm going to wrap it around my pinky finger, bring it across these 2 fingers and over my index finger. And this is how I hold my hook. I hold it either like this, like a pencil, or my favorite way is like a knife. And you're just going to crochet like that. And if you need a tutorial on this, I have some shorts that I've done. You can watch those. I have, again, I have a playlist that shows you how to do everything. So check that out. But yeah, so you're just going around your pinky, across these 2 fingers, and over your index finger. I know, I'm sorry, it's reversed for you, but I just want to give you an idea. So getting your yarn on your hook and knowing how to hold your yarn and your hook, you know, super easy. You want to know it like the back of your hand. The next thing you want to be able to do is chain. So yarning over and pulling through the loop is the basis of crochet. And you really want to be able to do this very cleanly, very easily. You want your chains to be even in width so that all of them look pretty uniform. This is something that you should be able to do like breathing. And if you practice this and you get this down, you can learn anything in crochet. So get your yarn on your hook, how to hold your yarn and your hook, and chaining. That's your foundation for crochet. Now, once you've got all of that down, you're going to move on to actually building your house. So your supports for your house, right? These are going to be the things that support your crochet skills, growing your skills. And these are going to be the basic stitches. So the very first few stitches you want to learn are the single crochet, the half double crochet, and the double crochet. And these stitches, if you can get these down, you can learn any stitch in crochet because every other stitch is a variation of these 3 stitches. I will throw in a treble crochet into that mix, but honestly, once you've got these 3 down, you can do a treble crochet. You can do, you know, my favorite, a herringbone, half double crochet. You can do anything. So single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. These are your supports for building your crochet skills. The next thing you want to learn is how to finish off your project. So you've built your house, you've got your supports, right? Now you want to finish off and walk away. You're adding your roof and you're good to go. You need to know how to sew in or weave in your yarn tails into your project. And you also need to know how to fasten off. So what do I mean by that? Now I've got my project here, right? Let's say I'm finished with my project. I need to know how I'm going to create a knot and secure this project so that it doesn't open up. And then once I've cut my yarn, I need to know how I'm going to hide that yarn into the project so that I don't have these tails hanging off like this. So I have tutorials on that on my channel as well, but you want to, so that's called fastening off and how to hide your yarn tails or how to sew in your yarn ends. You can look those up on YouTube. You'll get a lot of great videos on those. I show this in all of my videos. I know I get a lot of people skipping past those parts because a lot of people that come to my channel know how to do this already, but I still like to show it in all my videos. So if you go to any of my beginner videos, any of my project videos, I will show you how to fasten off and sew in your yarn ends and give your project a really nice, clean, finished look. Okay, so we've got our foundation, our house built, and we finished our project. Now, we know how to do all of that, but when we want to learn something specific, we need a blueprint for that, right? We need instructions. So to know how to actually crochet something, you're going to go for a pattern or a tutorial. I highly recommend when you're starting out with crochet that you do video tutorials or you do patterns that have video tutorials with them. I don't want you to shy away from patterns because this is important for you to learn. Another kitten. Hi. Say hi. All right, go on. We're fostering kittens, so I have some kittens running around. I always say I'll show them to you guys, and I never do, so now you got to see one of them. So, okay, as I was saying, back to our crochet building. So I don't want you to shy away from written patterns because these are important for you to learn. So anytime you're working with a pattern, make sure that it has written instructions and a video tutorial. And the reason for this is when you're just starting out, written instructions alone aren't very helpful. Have you ever tried to build something on written instructions alone? I swear to you, half the things in my house are still standing because of the photos or video tutorials that came with the instructions for the thing that I bought. Because a lot of times when you don't know what you're doing, those written instructions don't make a lot of sense. So video tutorials are great to give you that visual guidance for where you're going and how it should look. And it really takes out that moment of, am I doing this right? Out of the mix. So make sure you're following video tutorials. Now, why do you want written instructions with that video? Because you'll be able to put the visual to the written instructions. The next time you see those written instructions, you're going to picture how it's done and you're going to hear it in your head. So it's the trifecta of learning. You're seeing the instructions, you're seeing the visual, and you're hearing it in your head. That means that you'll be able to learn crochet no matter what way it's taught in. Whether you're working on your project and just listening to the instructions from someone, you'll be able to do what you need to do. Whether you're watching or you're reading, all three ways you'll be covered. So I really love written instructions with video tutorials. These are your blueprint for crocheting your projects, so to speak. And I'm not going to leave you hanging, right? Because I always have a free resource for you guys. So head to the link in the description or in the comments and grab my free quick and easy crochet scarf pattern. It uses all the elements I'm mentioning here today, so it's perfect for beginners. It's written in plain English and it comes with a video tutorial. So it's going to be really, really a great resource for you to check out. The last thing, once you've got your house built, you've got your project built, you want to embellish it a little bit, right? We're going to do some decorating now. So this is where you learn things like surface crochet to monogram names or initials into your project. Things like borders, fancy borders, to really add that personal touch and a little more pizzazz to your project. You can use things like how to sew on buttons or sew on embellishing elements. You can learn how to incorporate beads into your project and actually crochet with beads. So these are things you would learn once you've got the basics down. And I just want to give you an idea of how much fun you can actually have. So this is where you're going. This is where your potential is once you've got these basics down. So just like a home is built step by step, and initially it seems kind of boring, you're not really seeing a whole lot happening. The same way, when you're building your basics in crochet, it can seem kind of boring and you're like, I just want to get on with the good stuff, right? But as you continue building that house and you start seeing it come together, it's really exciting, right? Same with crochet. As you see your projects come together, it's going to be really exciting and you're going to start enjoying that process of building and growing. So really take some time to enjoy learning your basics, and that way you'll be able to really enjoy watching your projects come together, because it's going to be a lot easier for you to start doing all the fancy things you want to do and making all the fancy projects that you want to make. So I think we've covered our house building here. We've got a nice, gorgeous, beautiful house built. Let me know if this made sense to you. I wanted to do this video to give you a visual reference for what you're learning, so that you have some idea of why you're doing what you're doing and why are the steps important. So let me know in the comments if this resonated with you, if this made sense to you. And once again, in case you missed it, I have a free crochet scarf pattern for you linked in the description and in the comments to get you started on your crochet journey and help you have a little bit of fun as you're learning some of the basics here. So thank you so much for joining me. I love being here with you every week. And until next time, keep crocheting with love and patience. Goodbye.